What's up? Back to tell you about another crazy old lure. This is a Head and Lucky 13. Obviously, mine is not the way it comes out of the box. Stick around, I'm gonna go through this as fast as possible. So, when you get, first of all, they make two sizes of this. They make a small one, it's pretty much perfect. They make a large one here with 3 hooks for it, and you need to modify that one. Why even buy the 3 hook one, right? Like, because it's huge. It has a massive profile. Things can see it for a mile away. With a 7-foot rod, you can chunk this thing like across the pond. So there are reasons for this. Here's how I make mine different. First of all, ditch all 3 of the factory hooks. They're not sharp enough, and that leaves you with 9 hooks that are too small. As you notice, this is a fat bait, and that's important. It has to do with the action. You got to have the fat bait in order to get the action, but you need to get rid of the hooks. One of the reasons why is because they're thinner than the body. On mine, you'll notice the hooks are significantly fatter than the body, okay? I've got the 3 treble hooks taken off. The back one is gone altogether. There's a reason for that. The chin hook has been replaced with one of these big Gamakatsu frog hooks. This is a 3/0. And as you've noticed, I have bent that out open wider, bend it out wider. Because that's important that you be able to see that hook out the sides of the bait, right? So when the fish grabs it, it's going to get hooked. On the factory setup, a lot of times fish can spit the lure because the hooks are too small. I've got a black one on the front. It needs to be wider than the body. I've got a long shank copper on the back. Double copper is a great way to go. I just only had 1 copper for this video, but the copper is important. It needs to be long. It needs to stick out the back. And with those, you need to open up the points a little bit. Like if the points are straight, open them up just a little bit and flare them out just a touch. These can be pretty narrow in the back, but they need to stick out. They need to be up just a touch. A lot of you that fish hollow body frogs know what I'm talking about because you do that on your frogs. So chin hook, those are going to sit right in the middle of the bait. Those need to be widened. These need to be opened up a little bit taller. You need to go with a long shank in the back so it sticks out the back of the bait. This is good because it will not foul on the front, and it will not foul on the back of the lure and get hung up on the back of the lure either. This is the most consistent. You're going to be able to fish this for hours without having to constantly be unfouling the bait. Second of all, and I'll get to why this is important in a second, you must use a split ring. You've got to have a split ring on one of these because this bait is both a topwater bait, a crankbait, and a jerk bait all at the same time. It's very unique in that the lip causes it to go down when you pop it. So instead of it just popping on the surface, it pops down like that, like that. So when you're popping it on the surface, it looks like a bait fish that's up there feeding on smaller bait fish, and you know the whole ecosystem is there for this big bass to come and eat it. If you're fishing it like a crankbait, it's going to go down about 2 feet and have this big wide wobble. Particularly if you ditch that back hook, you're going to get a wider wobble on the back end, and because the back is not tail weighted, you're going to get more depth out of it because it's nosing down, okay? If you're using it like a hard jerk bait, go in a 1-2 or a 2-3 cadence. 1-2, the first one's going to be a pop because it's on top of the water, pop, and it goes down, and then on the second one, it wiggles forward and then comes back up. When you get rid of that back hook, as it comes up, it has this, like, it wobbles up like that. So it's constant action. It pops, then wobbles down, then wobbles back up, then pops, then wobbles down, then wobbles back up, pops, wobbles down. It's tons of action, okay? So you're gonna move, even though it's a big giant topwater, you're actually gonna move it pretty fast. So doing a 1-2, like a pop, wiggle, or pop, wiggle, wiggle, like that. So 1-2, 1-2-3, or throw it and do it like a straight crankbait. Never do a straight retrieve with one of these. Reel it down for a few reels, stop and let it float back up. If there's a bass that's been following it, they'll hit it pretty much every time, or they'll blow up on the surface and get it if it sits on the surface for about 1 or 2 seconds. 1, 2, you can go ahead and go back at it. If that fish is there, it's going to smash it. When you're using it as a topwater bait, like I said, I go pretty fast. Mostly because that's the reason I chose this big giant bait in the first place, is so I could throw it like a mile and then I could cover a lot of water. So I'm using the red and white model. If you use the Shad model or any of those, go pretty fast. This is supposed to look like a big bait fish that's out there feeding and not paying attention. So make it look like that. Lots and lots of action. More action, more bass.